Evan, how will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of teacher-learner relationships, classroom management and behavioral issues, and creation and implementation of lessons in your field of study?
Well, as far as teacher-learner relationships go, the relationship between God and man is very similar to that of a teacher and a student, as God is a perfect example to mankind. Thus, a teacher should also function in a similar manner to students. Students should be able to look at a teacher and see them as an example, not only in the content area, but also just as how to act as a person. For classroom management, you should be looking at biblical ideas of organization and positivity, making things welcome, just like Christians are to be welcoming to everything. So, too, should you allow students to feel welcome in your classroom. And because of God saying that all people are made in His image, puts us all on an even playing field, which means you need to be fair and kind to everyone, because we're all on the same level. And then in the purpose of lessons, music is one of those things that it's impossible not to incorporate biblical principles in, because most of music, especially from early classical Renaissance area, it's all church music. It all comes from the church, and everyone would agree you can't just skip it because it's from the church. You have to integrate all of it in there. So that's, an obvious literal sense. But then, of course, there's also the principle of doing everything to the glory of God, which is particularly something that you see in music, because it is a performance and it is an act of worship. When you are dealing in a public school, though, you can't always say you're singing to God, so therefore you have to enjoy yourself. Like, that doesn't work, because most of the students there, not most, but many of the students there won't have the same thing. So you can, however, encourage them to find something within them that is worth worshiping, which will maybe lead them to God, but it will mostly force them to give some deeper thought into themselves to find that thing that is worth worshiping.
Thank you. Great, thanks. Leanne, how will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of teacher-learner relationships, classroom management and behavioral issues, creation and implementation of lessons in your area of study?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Firstly, with regard to the teacher-learner relationship, humans are created in the image of God, and therefore they must be treated with respect and honor. Genesis 1:26 says, God says, let us make man in our own image. And so in God's likeness, He created us. As an art teacher, I'm going to treat students as God's workmanship, knowing that they're created with purpose. I'll encourage them, help them grow as students and people, and help them do their best work. This means giving them the instruction they need and helping them find their talents and gifts. With regard to integrating my content area in classroom management for... Where is it? Oh yeah, for classroom management and behavioral issues, the biblical lessons about justice and fairness are very serious, and Colossians 4:1 provides kind of a framework for the way one in authority should treat those who are below them. It reads, "Masters, treat your slaves justly and fairly, knowing that you also have a master in heaven." I'm going to communicate my expectations and then consistently enforce the consequences for the students. Also, since God is my master and I want grace and kindness from Him, I'll also be kind and gracious to my students. This could look like giving the class extra work days if they're behind, being gentle with a student who might be having family issues, so that's where their sketchbook is late, or even providing more instruction to struggling students. And then finally, with regard to integrating the biblical perspective into teaching a lesson, I'm going to follow the example of the Good Shepherd. This means that as I'm guiding the students to learn about something like art history, I have to be careful that none of them is left behind. Jesus cared about every person, and I will care about every student that I'm given in my classroom. As Luke 15:4 says, "Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it?" I probably shouldn't leave my 99 other students in the open country, but I should always go after the student who is lost. Every child is important to me, and I'll make sure they all understand the content to be successful.
Bethany, how will you integrate a biblical worldview into your content area classroom in terms of teacher-learner relationships, classroom management, and behavioral issues, and creation and implementation of lessons in your area of study?
Well, I'm glad you asked. First of all, in classroom management, I'm definitely going to make sure that I'm making sure that students know that I have expectations for them. I'm going to communicate those, and there's going to be consequences and discipline for those, because just as Hebrews 12, 8 through 11 shows, is that God disciplines us. He disciplines us as children. It's to make us see that what we're doing is wrong and to grow us as people. That's really important. But he does it in love. Speaking the truth in love is super important. In my content area as a teacher-learner relationship, I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing so that I'm showing what a good leader is, showing what a good master is. I want my students to be able to look at me as someone they can follow and model their own lives after. So that means a pretty high standard for myself, and I'm so ready to do that and be that for my students. Matthew 10:24, the student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for students to be like their teachers and servants like their masters. So it's not saying be exactly like me, which is good because everyone's going to be different and have different strengths. But I want to make sure that I can give the best example possible for my students to follow. If I were going to be doing classroom management, I would like to be following Matthew 25:29. For whoever has will be given more, for they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. So that's explaining that we're stewards. We have to make sure that we're doing the best with what we have. So in classroom management, I want to explain to the students that you're being given something that's really important. This is an education that you need to do well with. So when I'm trying to manage a classroom, keep in mind that this is for you. This is important. Finally, on creation and implementation of lessons. Psalm 139, it's talking about how God knows us. He created us in the womb. I want to make sure that when I'm creating my lessons, I'm doing it with my students' individual needs and learning styles in mind so that each one gets something, is able to learn from it how they learn. I don't want to do something, teach it in a way that no one can actually understand or only half the classroom can understand. I want to make sure I'm doing that so that everyone can understand and they're learning what they need to do. And I'm really excited to be able to implement biblical principles into my teaching, even if I'm not in a Christian school, because that's very important for everyone to learn. Thank you.